What is up guys, Deadset here. Today I will talk about the updated 2.41 Archon Vyr build, going in depth over the greater rifting and speed farming variations of the build. Let's dive in. Before I go in depth on the build, I would like to point out that this 83 clear was done on the first attempt with very well rolled but not perfect gear, moderate paragons and gem levels, and also 0 enchantments on gear. I believe the potential of Archon as it is still hovers around Greater Rift 100. The strategy of the build revolves around the in and out of Archon dynamic, trying to conserve and increase power as much as you can outside your alternate form and unleashing the built-up damage potential during the Archon uptime. Your capabilities in Archon form are augmented by the Vyr 4-piece bonus, increasing attack speed, armor and resistances with every additional stack coming from your various attacks. Note that the stacks are acquired per enemy hit, emphasizing the importance of bigger fights. In Archon form, your basic skill priority is to activate slow time once, spam Arcane Blast, which is the first ability on the bar, on cooldown, and hold down Arcane Strike, which is the left mouse button ability, to destroy enemies in melee range, and drawing straggler attention with Disintegration Wave, which is the right mouse ability. Once you return to regular form, the Swami Helm in the cube will ensure you keep the positive effects of your Archon stacks for up to 20 seconds. This enables you to survive and efficiently reset your Archon cooldown through Arcane Torrent and Cubed Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac. You have another important task in regular form. Each of your attacks will increase Chantolo's Resolve pulse power, stacking up to 20 times, a stack that needs to be maxed out before the next Archon activation. Besides Archon and Arcane Torrent, your normal form abilities comprise of passive buffs, Magic Weapon, and an armor spell, which are to be kept up permanently, and utility skills, Teleport and Frost Nova, which are used defensively. Its presence in the build is pretty self-explanatory, but Archon should be on your skill bar. The rune selection here is irrelevant as you receive the benefits of all the runes through the Vyr 2-piece set bonus. Simply try to match the elemental damage you are stacking on gear with your Archon rune of choice. For the sake of example, this build has taken the cold rune Slow Time and stacks cold damage on gear. It goes without saying, but pop Archon form on cooldown and stay in it as long and as frequently as you can. Your trusty tool for cooldown resets, Arcane Torrent, will be used with the projectile splitting static discharge rune to bring you fast and reliable Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac procs and Chantolo set stacks. Depending on your positioning, confidence and leftover Archon stacks, you can either remain stationary and channel it for optimal damage output, or kite and hope for a fast enough reset. Your biggest moment of weakness comes when Archon falls off, and immediate repositioning will often be in order, evading a bad situation, engaging fresh enemies for Ancient Parthan Defender procs, or simply moving ahead to a new area. Teleport will be instrumental for all these purposes, along with the damage reduction of the Safe Passage rune. When running Torment Rifts, you can find a minor benefit in switching to the more mobile Wormhole rune. The independence of Halo of Release might discourage you to take Frost Nova at first. After all, the ring will cast a generic Frost Nova, regardless of you slotting the skill or not. The reason to include it in the build is that the Halo of Release spam will adopt the rune from your skill bar, and Deep Freeze will essentially provide you with a permanent 10% increase in crit chance. Note that using Frost Nova yourself in normal form is not only redundant but also hurtful to your Archon reset, because Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac will have more downtimes to go through, so keep it for emergencies and stick to the Halo of Release proc. In normal rifts, the protective cooldown will not be necessary, so you'll do well to swap it out for the minor passive damage increase of familiar Sparkflint. Fighting at a closer range than most wizard builds can afford, the Archon build exposes itself to regular danger. Thus, a minor source of defense and damage amplification will be found in Magic Weapon Deflection. This long-lasting steroid remains quietly in the background and procs consistently off your Frost Novas, Arcane Blasts and Arcane Strikes, bringing a nice damage buffer on top of your health and mitigation. Similarly to other skills, this protective measure can be swapped in for torment runs by the minor damage gain of Force Weapon. For additional protection, we will be using Ice Armor with the massive bulwark of Crystallize. The short reach of the build will inevitably put you in melee brawls, refreshing your Crystallize stacks constantly. The added value from Halo of Release will bring excellent crowd control on top of the mitigation, solidifying Ice Armor as the defensive spell of choice for Greater Rifts. As a final adjustment for speed farming, you should replace this spell with Storm Armor Scramble for its reliable movement speed proc. This concludes the overview of the active skills. Now let us look through the passives. Unstable Anomaly gives you one shot at dodging a lethal situation, operating on a standard 60-second cooldown and adding a 3-second stun to nearby enemies, plus a solid 400% max life shield for 5 seconds. It will become a constant companion to your Greater Rift pushes. It is far less necessary in speed farming content, but it can prevent the occasional mishap, and there are few competing choices for the slot, so it's recommended you take it regardless. Audacity gets a chance to shine in this dominantly melee range build by bringing an impressive 30% multiplicative damage increase against enemies within 15 yards. Evocation rounds out the staple passive choices with its solid chunk of 20% cooldown reduction. With the overall goal of the playstyle, bringing your Archon downtime as low as possible, Evocation becomes a natural fit. Your final passive slot is a little more flexible. You can freely choose between the Balanced Unwavering Will, the Utility Powerhouse of Illusionist, or the purely defensive Blur. The general recommendation is Unwavering Will, whose static fighting condition synergizes well with the Endless Walk set in Greater Rifts. In Torment runs, Illusionist pulls ahead due to the movement speed bonuses as you teleport left and right, one-shotting enemies. If you feel that you're lacking toughness, Blur remains a great choice that brings a sizable, unconditional 17% decrease in damage taken. The build incorporates the complete Vyr's amazing Arcana set, taking all 6 available pieces and leaving the jewelry to balance offense with the Endless Walk set and defense with Halo of Release. Roles-wise, this Archon-centric playstyle takes good advantage of cooldown reduction and area damage affixes. Vyr's Helm, Vyr's Chest, Vyr Pants, and Vyr Boots can all be dedicated to toughness, as Archon abilities are not possible skill damage rolls on gear. Cooldown reduction is the 4th primary alongside area damage, intelligence and vitality on the Vyr shoulders, and cooldown reduction is also taken on the Vyr gloves alongside the traditional intelligence, crit chance and crit damage recommendations. You will adjust jewelry and bracers according to the content you clear, a defensive setup for Greater Rifts and a glass cannon variation for speed farming. The scaling difficulty of Greater Rifts forces you to split between offense and defense in the jewelry slots. One of the 2.4 reworks, the Endless Walk set, the Compass Rose Ring, and the Traveler's Pledge Amulet, adds a unique mechanic that slowly increases your damage by up to 100% if you remain stationary, and drains it away and increases your damage reduction while moving. This mimics the Archon playstyle, alternating long-distance movement to favorable monster density with periods of stationary Arcane Blast and Arcane Strike spam. A socketed Halo of Release will occupy the 2nd ring slot. Halo of Release will multiply the effectiveness of your Ice Armor mitigation and provides additional crowd control. As long as the requirements of the ring are met, it will release a constant streak of Frost Novas, unhindered by internal cooldowns. The Halo of Release finds a synergistic companion in the Ancient Parton Defenders, whose unique property triggers off freeze effects as well, still inexplicably missing from the item tooltip. With the chain triggers of Frost Nova from the ring, diving into massive fights turns from a suicide tactic into a survival tool through the numerous damage reduction procs of the Bracer. An important playstyle tip to remember is that crowd control on the same monster diminishes with each successive application, so seek out fresh enemies to reduce damage with. As for the Torment Rifting variation, you will be dropping the Endless Walk set and the Halo of Release Ancient Parton Defenders combo, as the entire setup is too slow and defensive, and a huge overkill for standard difficulties. The suggested ring setup includes Avery's Band, for its Boon of the Hoarder synergy, speeding up your clear immensely and feeding you infinite gold. The other ring should probably be a Stone of Jordan, taken as a consistent and situation-independent damage increase. You can complete the jewelry with any well-rolled amulet, the high-end luxury option being a Hellfire amulet with a synergistic 5th passive like Glass Cannon. Ancient Parton Defenders should be replaced by Nemesis Bracers, cutting down clear times by spawning you additional elites at shrines and pylons. Back to the staple gear, Fazula's Improbable Chain Belt is tailored after Archon builds, with a best-in-slot roll giving you 50 automatic Archon stacks when entering Archon form. Aiding you in your most vulnerable moments, this belt gets your damage and toughness off the ground quicker, making it vital for the playstyle. The mandatory weapon and offhand for the build are the Chuntodo's Resolve set, Chuntodo's Will and Chuntodo's Force. Essential to the playstyle by providing the stacking Wave of Destruction effect, this set will be responsible for a 7000% weapon damage chunk in your DPS. Rolls-wise, aim for cooldown reduction and area damage on the Chuntodo Wand, and high damage range, crit chance, cooldown reduction, and arcane power on crit on the Chuntodo Source. Your 3 jewelry sockets will be taken up by the legendary gems Bane of the Trapped, Bane of the Powerful, and either Bane of the Stricken for greater rifts or Boon of the Hoarder for speed farming. Bane of the Trapped is a potent source of additional damage, as it is its own multiplier in your total damage calculation. You will benefit from it naturally, as Archon wizards tend to fight in melee range to maximize the Wave of Destruction. Bane of the Trapped procs itself with the level 25 property, alongside with the constant Frost Nova triggers. Bane of the Powerful has been reworked into a multiplicative damage increase, further enticing you to focus on chaining and bursting down elite fights, where the Archon wizard excels in the first place. This is reinforced by the gem's level 25 bonus, now increasing and reducing elite damage by 15%, making it a well-rounded choice for many builds. Introduced in Season 4, Bane of the Stricken occupies the 3rd and final jewelry socket, building up your damage multiplicatively in prolonged fights, and with a level 25 bonus specifically targeting Rift Guardians. This gem is designed to assist AoE heavy builds in their struggle against single-target, high-health enemies. The Archon Wizard is not an exception, and Bane of the Stricken is considered a great addition to the setup. In Torments, Bane of the Stricken will build up too slowly to matter, and is best replaced by a speedrun-oriented gem like Boon of the Hoarder. The gem nets you an average of 20 to 30 million gold per Torment 10 run, with no particular focus on gold find stats, and it gives you a massive short-term speed boost when picking up gold. With the use of Avarice Band and its massive pickup radius bonus, this will be done automatically, allowing you to focus on the clear. The Kanai's Cube recommendations are as follows: the Furnace for Greater Rifts or Ingion for Torments in the weapon slot, the Swami for the armor slot, and Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac for the jewelry slot. The Furnace provides 50% additional elite damage, which speeds up Greater Rift clear times greatly, as Champion and Rift Guardian fights are the usual bottleneck. That obstacle is gone in normal rifts, and Ingion shines by reducing 10 seconds flat off the cooldown of all of your skills after you burst an elite. In a normal rift, the 15-second duration of the effect is plenty of time to find a new elite and refresh the Ingion bonus. This will allow you to chain Archon with very minimal downtime, and you will almost rival the reliability of Flashfire Wizard builds for 2-minute Torment 10 clears. The Swami is an essential addition to the cube in the armor slot, as the power of this wizard hat allows you to maintain the Archon stack benefits for 20 seconds in your normal form. That window of opportunity allows you to survive and safely reset your damage form. Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac is another key item for the cube, as this jewelry slot will enable the lightning-fast recharge of your Archon. Benefiting greatly from the attack speed increase of the Archon stacks, it allows you to re-enter in your damage form long before the Swami sustained stacks expire, leading to stack overlap. In the Paragon points, max out movement speed to the 25% cap and spend the rest on intelligence in the core section. Prioritize crit damage, crit chance, and then cooldown reduction in offense. armor, followed by life percentage and then all resistance in defense, and finally focus on area damage and life per hit in utility. And this is it for the in-depth look at the Archon Wizard in patch 2.41. You can find the full written version linked in the description, as well as a Google spreadsheet linking to my detailed guides for every build in Diablo 3, of course in the process of revision to patch 2.41. I hope you enjoyed this guide, and if you did, I would appreciate your subscription to my channel. Talk to me on Twitter and Facebook that I link below, and I'll see you guys next time.